Well, welcome to the first episode of Campfire Council. We are super excited to be here and get this rolling.
Yeah,
so we'll do
Yes,
a quick
we
little
are.
introduction of our names here.
Introduction? Little introduction action?
Introduction.
So my name is
Introduction.
Luke, and we'll just go around the table and introduce ourselves.
I'm Emilio.
I'm Brandon.
This is tough because
Why?
I'm Joey, I'm Joseph, and
You're
I'm
Joey.
just saying Emilio.
Joe.
You guys
He's
can call me
Josephus.
whatever you want, but that's
Okay.
technically my name.
Later on, we'll
Technically,
we'll
my name
rename.
is Joseph, but I will be referred to as Joey.
Yeah.
What's like the...
Technically, I'm Emilio, but people usually call me Milo. But also people call me Emilio.
Or Trilo.
I'm
Or
Brandon,
Trilo.
but they
Trilo
do
also.
call me Brando and the Stallion. But yeah,
That is your name.
that's another name. That's like the what is it in Spanish? Like the professional conjugate or whatever, like respected
have
elder.
no idea.
Yeah, me neither. Go ahead.
Yeah.
That was huge. I'm Wes. That's my name.
What's the best?
So we're going to be going into a topic of spiritual disciplines today. So we'll kind of just dive into it and
Sure.
we'll get after it.
Oh sure.
Sure.
So I guess the first question I had off the top of my head is, what would be for ourselves the most difficult spiritual discipline in our own personal lives?
Should we start by defining what a spiritual discipline is?
Yeah, we can get into that. So
Pull it up, Trilo.
He's downloaded the Bible app.
It won't let me
It's
sign.
in the little spinny circle.
I have my notes, but they're on the phone that's recording right now.
Oh,
That is a bummer. We forgot about that part.
well. So that's it for today's podcast.
We're done.
Your chairs are good, fellow.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Well, I remember I saw before there's two breakdowns of spiritual discipline. The categories, I'm trying to remember the name of the two categories. I think I sent in the chat if you pull up the chat.
Yeah, sure.
Pull it up, Trilo.
It's all on Milo to get the...
Well, so Dallas Willard, I listened to some of the audiobook of The Spirit of the Disciplines, I think the book is called, and it seems like his idea of what a spiritual discipline is it's a practice that involves actual action in the world. Like it's not just a state of mind, like a lot of people think of faith as being just like a state of mind or like giving your assent to belief in God or something like that. What he's talking about is actual actions that you do in order to grow spiritually. So for example, it could be like fasting or celibacy or isolation. Like for example, when Jesus went off into the desert and fasted and secluded himself from society, that would be an example of a spiritual discipline for Dallas Willard. But there could be many other examples of that. I think at its most basic level, it's practices that emulate Jesus and how he lived his life.
Mm-hmm.
What was your question again then? Going back to it.
So to bring it right back around, I would say what would be one of the most difficult spiritual disciplines for ourselves and like our individual lives, or just in general too?
I would say greed is a really tough one, just in the sense of wanting so much of what I don't have. And I think a lot of times that comes in the form of what I look forward to in the future. Just all these things I want. I want a nice house. I want a nice car. I want money. All very earthly, physical things that I just want, in the now. So that's a difficult one. And also, I guess, I would say just kind of like wanting all that. It's like right now, I guess. I don't know. I just said that. My bad. I was
No, I
bringing
get
it
it.
full
It's-
circle. Full circle.
Especially the world we're in today, you see everyone else having the things that you want that you don't have. That's like displayed as the American dream, the cars, the houses, the wives, whatever it is, kind of like the things that we're told we're supposed to grow up and have and work for in our society, which is very against the Christian lifestyle that we should be living. And that definitely makes it very difficult. Yeah.
Also, I love that I'm just looking at you through
I know.
two
This
of
is-
these stands. I love it. I love it.
We got it down. I can see your eyes. That's all that
No,
matters.
right. I can see your lips and I can see your eyes. So I know when you're talking.
So what would be a discipline that you could implement into your life to improve on that?
I would say during my prayer time with God, thanking Him for what I do have and praying for patience as well. I would for sure say, God, you know that I want these things, but right now in this season of life, I don't think that's your will for me. And so I pray for patience, and I do pray that one day I do have those things that I wish for, but I know that it's all that stuff that I want is very earthly, like I said. So it's not something that will bring me closer to God, but just continuing to ask for patience and appreciation for what I do have.
Mm-hmm. Are there actionable things that you could do right now that would build the skills to be able to improve on those things? Other than praying, like, so it sounds like to me what you're saying is that you'll pray and ask God for the ability to not covet things and stuff like that. But are there specific practices that you could implement now, like maybe intentionally resisting the urge to covet, or choosing to not buy certain things when you have the ability to, actual practices in your daily life that could improve that?
Yeah, for sure. And I think I've been working on that where, you see something, you're like, oh man, I really want that. But just kind of taking a second to be like, all right, I don't need it, and I can save up my money. Because honestly, I think a lot of times in the moment we want things, and then as time passes, you just kind of forget about it, and you're like, all of a sudden, like a few weeks later, you're like, oh dang, I kind of forgot that I wanted that. But so yeah, I think just kind of really taking a step back and thinking, like, I'll give it some time. If it's truly something that I just absolutely like need, like,
Yeah.
then I'll get it later on.
A lot
but
of it's just like want.
yeah, exactly.
Like,
exactly.
I don't know. I was kind of imagining myself like, I was like if I won the lottery, I would buy so many stupid things.
Yep.
But like,
Most people go like bankrupt after they win the jackpot,
right?
because they
and
think
they're
they have
all
this money.
stupid things that they don't need at
Right.
all,
Yeah.
like whatsoever, and they can live good lives without that stuff, but they just want it,
Yep.
and they now have all that money, so they're just gonna go buy it.
Yep.
But
You know what the crazy thing too is about possessions and just things in general is, like, when you do work for those things, it's exciting for the build up, like the anticipation of getting those things, the new car, the new shoes, whatever it is, and then you have it, and that's that.
Yeah.
And it's like then you're unsatisfied and you're going to the next thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think you're always
Like-
wanting like more too. So like I was like looking at my rock and I was like, this doesn't apply to this, but it totally does, because like I'm never satisfied with just like if I went and found like one cool rock, I'd be like, okay, cool, I found a piece of jasper. Like I wouldn't be satisfied with just finding one.
Yeah.
Like I'm obviously gonna spend like way too much time, but I mean there are worse things. To
Yeah. Gotta find those
spend
rocks
time
with the ascites.
Yeah, whatever
What
that
is it?
is.
What is it called? Agnikai? What is it?
Agate.
Agates. That's
Yeah.
my bad.
Well, as time goes on,
I was close.
you were super
Right there,
close,
right there.
dude.
Agates.
Agate.
Yes.
I don't think any of these guys know what an agnikai is.
Probably not.
is that a real word?
Let's get into this. What is an agnikai?
That's a real
Well,
thing. I thought- that was
they're
like a-
actually
idea.
remaking the show
It's from
in
Avatar:
live
Last
action.
Oh
Airbender.
my god.
It's like when you challenge somebody to a fight.
Okay.
I challenge
Like
you
from
to
the show?
Agnikai.
Yeah.
Oh, I've seen the show. Okay.
Yeah.
I know this. I don't
When-
really know it, but I know it.
Remember
Luke,
when
I challenge you
Zuko
to an
gets
Agni
burned
Kai.
by his dad?
I do.
Oh yeah, you watched
He-
that show. I forgot about
He I think his dad challenges him to an Agni guy,
Yeah,
right?
so Zuko goes to like a big formal meeting or whatever with all the Fire Nation leaders, and he speaks out of turn or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Term? Yep.
Turn. It could be turn.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Maybe turned.
We'll make it up as we
Yeah,
go.
you know, we're going along with it. It's a new word. And so his dad disciplines him by incinerating half of his face. So good lesson.
That's huge.
So watch
That's-
out.
that
Watch
is,
out.
Yeah, he deserved it.
That was not spiritual discipline.
No.
The conversation was a
opposite.
discipline,
Yes.
right?
Exactly.
There you go.
Yeah,
Sparkling water.
yeah. I think that would be an example of not a good discipline.
Right. Oh, get your own Kroger.
Dude, this stuff is absolute fire.
I think for me right now, one thing that I've been finding difficult at times is just worship as a discipline. I think it's very hard to get caught up in the asking God for things, for asking for the blessings and asking for good health, whatever that looks like, and then you receive it or you don't, but it's the after fact of like, am I taking the time to worship and thank God? And also just like things like being in church, like I feel like there should be more for like worshiping like during worship. And I feel like it's something I'm struggling right now I'm trying to work on and be better at and be more in the moment and really be worshiping God instead of just being there.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense.
So are you saying you wish that there was more time when it was just like you and God, you're saying, during the church service?
Yeah, and that
Okay.
kind of goes along with like being alone or like solitude. It's
Mm-hmm.
I think that it stems from it of me working on learning how to worship and listen and be quiet and still, but then also having that carry over to like actively worshiping through like music or through prayer or however else that looks.
That's something I kind of wanted to bring up was when you said solitude, because I just like a question I was kind of thinking about was what can I find like in solitude to like help me grow and like help me to stay disciplined. And so like whether it's reading the Bible or like I think being in nature like is always the best. I mean, obviously you can't really do it in the winter, but like you can still like appreciate that moment. But yeah, I think like being alone is like super beneficial for that. But continue what you're saying.
So I was taking a sip of my Rosane.
Rain. Sponsored by Rain.
Yeah, sponsored by Rosane.
I definitely finished mine.
You already finished yours?
I did. I put those down so quick. They're so good.
We love our rains.
Mm-hmm.
This is true.
I kind of lost my train of thought of what I was saying.
You want to be more present in worship and
Yeah, and I think, like I said, I think that it comes back to just learning how to be still in solitude and silence and hearing God and practicing that and having it carry over to, like I said, like active worship through, it could be in church, like through worship or through prayer, and just being more thankful and praising and thanking God for the things that he does give me. So
for sure. And I think sometimes we put a little bit too much emphasis on feeling a certain way during worshiping, you know?
What do you mean?
Like a lot of people are seeking that
Like a
feeling.
feeling.
The
Okay.
feeling of
Yeah.
the Spirit being present, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't, at least in my experience, I don't think that's always there. That
Like
That's
getting
just-
the chills or like
yeah, exactly.
type of thing.
Yeah, I don't always feel that. Like definitely at men's retreat, I felt like
Same.
God was like
Yeah.
really God was really speaking to me.
It's funny because you
What-
just
during
gave me the chills.
during the
funny.
worship service. I really felt God was
Really?
speaking to me. Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. But I don't always feel like that. A lot of times it's just like another day, you know, and I'm just singing along, but maybe that's how it's supposed to be. Maybe those are like special moments when God is like wants you to take a different direction or wants to really teach you something.
Yeah, I honestly get those moments a lot. Me and another friend of ours, Noah, we always talk about we call them trigger songs at church. Those are the ones that always make us like choked up. And so dude, I got a lot. I got some good ones on there. But so I do have that feeling, and it's like, it is nice in the moment, because I feel like as I go through my week and I sometimes don't feel God's presence, and I'm like, oh, maybe I'm not doing enough, maybe I should be doing more. And we always should be doing more. But then when I go to church and I do get those moments, I'm like, okay, I do know the power of Christ is still there within me. Even if I'm not feeling it in my day-to-day, like, those moments are kind of a good reminder. And you don't need to get them all the time, exactly like you said. Like, when you do get those special moments, it's like, it's a really good feeling, for sure.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
think one thing too, everyone's different in the way that they worship, which is something I need to realize more too. I know for me, through journaling and through being in community with like you guys, or just being at church in general with like a good, strong Christian community, I think that's when I feel God's presence the most.
That's a good point.
And I know there's sometimes too there are like there's particular songs that you said like the trigger songs, yeah, where it's like you get in the moment, like you really feel like the presence, and like you're just feeling that the worship is there, and it's like that good feeling. I feel the most connection through journaling, like I'm actually having a conversation with God. So maybe like for me, through certain, just, I don't know, being at church, like worship music, sometimes it's not always there. But, and like I said too, just being in community, having a good time, having a good conversation, because I mean, God put us in this world to be in community and not to be alone.
For sure. So, are there any like Bible verses that really kind of give you those like chills, as we say? Anyone?
For me, Hebrews 4:12 for sure. I've said it to myself so many times that I don't think I get the same feeling from it. But there's certain situations where I'm in where if I kind of read a verse to myself in my mind, then I feel like this was the right verse for this moment. This is what I needed, and in that way God speaks to me. But I guess in general, I just put a lot less emphasis on the need for the chills or the need for the feeling of God's presence.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I if you talk like some of our friends, it sounds like they always feel that. They always feel the presence of God.
Yeah.
Which can be kind of discouraging sometimes if that,
Yeah, I
like
feel that.
like maybe I'm doing something wrong, and for sure I'm not perfect. I have sins in my life that God is working on in me, but
I think you're a great guy.
well, thank you.
Real great guy.
Well, for all have sinned, but I think maybe different people have a different relationship with God, and it's not they might not feel the presence of God all the time.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah, because I was gonna say like everyone's different and everyone's experiencing things differently. Everyone's on different paths in their life and stuff, and
For sure.
different relationships and stuff.
Yeah.
So like maybe, I mean, obviously people feel different things in different situations. So
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we all have
I'll-
different kind of like ways that we show emotion.
right.
So
We're not gonna all feel
No, we
the
don't.
same.
We're men.
You're right. We
Men
cannot
in
cry.
general
No,
feel
we never
exactly the
cry.
same.
We never feel emotional. No, it's like, yeah, I totally agree with that. Like, some people are just very, I don't know the right word, not like optimistic, but like they're very like upbeat like all the time, and like those are the people I feel like they really feel Christ like all the
Right.
time.
Like that's cool, but I like don't necessarily like feel
Yeah.
like that way.
I have a version of that, but it's not necessarily like. I don't feel like it's like.
Like overwhelming you.
No, it's like, so like when I go through like day-to-day things, like day-to-day things don't really like bug me too much anymore. But like when you're saying like the presence of God, like when it comes to that, like I don't feel like necessarily that, but like I do have like a certain joy about me that like it's just like something you can't like escape in a way. It feels like to me. So like when I'm going through like a weird or bad situation, it's like I just know that like I'm gonna be okay through it, and like that God's got me, because like He always has and He always will. And I think there's just like been so many times in life where it's like I didn't see that right away, and it took me a really long time to see that. But like now, like looking back at all those scenarios, it's like I have those to look at and realize that like He was there the whole time.
Yeah.
But then I don't know, there was always this that like, I mean, I guess now looking back at it, there's more joy about it,
Mm-hmm.
you know, of like getting through the hardships. Of like,
Yeah.
Then you can use those scenarios to like kind of combat like the day-to-day things, or even to like help people. So
But there's also too you got to think about different seasons of life for different people too.
yeah,
Because I know there's definitely times for me where you feel more in the dirt, kind of disconnected with your relationship with God. And there's obviously like the highs seasons where you feel just more often, I guess, that connection and like those highs from God. So,
and I think that's where our discipline comes in, is like if we're continuing to put ourselves in the scenario where like we're trying to better our faith and trying to like progress, like if you don't put yourself in that scenario, like doing this like right now, like we're doing this because like we want to better our faith, and like we want to like obviously get to know each other better as Christians and stuff. But I think you just kind of have to put yourself in scenarios to like set yourself up for success.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to get to know Brandon any better.
Well, that's fair.
Just
I mean,
let it
he's
be
not
known.
he's not a great
Everyone
guy.
but Brandon.
If you haven't realized already, I'm the one that everybody hates. Look
We
at my
just-
mic. Look at my
Yeah,
mic. I got the small mic.
We have, yeah. Just look at the mic.
To all of our
It
listeners,
just-
Brandon has a small
Everybody's
mic 'cause
got the
he's a
cool
small
little
man.
setup. It's like holding their mic for them. I've got.
It's like you're doing a
this.
radio show.
Although I honestly do like this. I'll be honest. I kind of want to keep this.
Do it.
Is it because
Why
it
not?
brings attention to you, Brandon?
I guess it doesn't get in
Right.
the,
No, that's the main reason.
in the way of your face.
Yeah, because I'm gonna be when I'm getting real emotional or something and my hands
Right.
are swinging around, I
There
might
you
hit
go.
the arm and then
And the mic
like a
goes flying.
Pentecostal priest, like you're just gonna be
Right,
swinging
dude.
up there.
yeah.
Well, you guys are
I
crazy.
think to bring back to what you were saying, Joyce,
Mhm.
when it comes to discipline with anything, especially faith too, it's definitely there's definitely times where these disciplines are uncomfortable. And I think the only way to grow is to be uncomfortable. I mean, you take anything, like you take the gym, you take skating, take martial arts, take playing with Pokemon cards,
These are our hobbies, by the way.
'Cause we're
guitar.
Now everybody knows what our hobbies are.
Especially the
Video
Pokemon
games.
collector. That guy
Whatever-
must be really cool.
Whatever it is, if you don't put the time and effort and sweat and blood into it, whatever that looks like, and get uncomfortable with it, you're never going to improve and get better. If you're at the gym and you're doing the same thing every single day, the same weight, nothing. I mean, you can maintain, but you're not going to grow. You're not going to get stronger. And when it comes to your faith and relationship with God, we need to get uncomfortable to grow. And that's when discipline comes in, because there's Sundays I don't want to go to church. Like, I just want to sleep in, I want to stay home. But through discipline, by going, or through prayer and being in the Word, of disciplining yourself and getting a rhythm, it's going to allow you to grow, and that's what we need to do. I think also too, by doing that and getting a rhythm, for me at least, it gives me that want to do it more. I don't know if you guys find that with any type of hobby, where you begin to do it so often through just like a normal day routine, and you find yourself wanting to do it more. But that's
Absolutely.
kind of how I feel with
Yeah.
that.
Yep. Yeah, for like the gym is a perfect example. It sucks It's not fun. But as you continue to do it more and start to get better at it, start to get stronger, you begin to want to do it. You want to suffer. You want to experience that pain and overcome it. And that becomes an end in itself, not just, trying to be fit or trying to look good or something like that. It's actually the struggle that you want.
Yeah. And I mean, even with, I found myself too being in the Word, the more I read on a regular basis, the more I want to read more. It's because I want to know what happens next and what I can learn from it. And when I find myself not being in the Word, and it's harder to get back to it. Just like the gym too, if you take a week or two off, you're going to go back and you're going to be super sore. And it's going to suck.
Yep.
Instead of being there continually in a routine, working at your goals.
That really is the worst, though. It's like when you just take a break from going to the gym, and then especially for legs, because it's like, holy crap, the next week.
Yeah, you can't walk.
And then
so
your quads cramp up while you're in bed, and then you're rolling around.
Oh yeah.
And then you have to
waddle
around. Yep, you have to waddle to the bathroom, and it just hurts really bad.
Yeah.
Back in soccer tryouts, I used to get the worst hamstring cramps.
Ooh,
in high school.
Those are the best.
Those are
actually calves.
It's
calves
always
are
the
best.
hamstrings for me.
Really?
Yeah, it's not good.
Do you remember when Wes showed up to track practice with jeans on?
Heck yeah, I did.
Yeah,
Wes, you wear those jeans. Don't you wear? Oh no, you don't wear legs.
I don't wear my legs.
You don't wear jeans on leg day, right?
No.
Okay.
I don't wear my jeans to the gym whatsoever.
Okay,
I
can we talk about that real
I've
quick?
seen you
Jeans
do
at the gym
lunges.
is no.
No.
Jeans at the
hell
gym?
no.
Yeah, no.
No, that's
don't
an
do that.
absolute yes.
What about
Don't do that.
black pants like this?
Still no.
Are
I've
those
done it.
corduroy
I've done it
jeans or
a
no?
couple times because I'm it's either I embarrass myself and I get into the gym, or I just don't, because I don't have my gym clothes, or it's too late or something.
I personally believe that everybody should wear corduroy to the gym.
This guy knows what he's talking about. I'm
Yeah,
interested.
I think corduroy shirts, corduroy pants.
I perked up.
They need to start making corduroy
perked.
shoes. I need corduroy.
I think they do have corduroy shoes. I'm gonna buy a pair.
No, they don't. You're lying.
That's not a
100%.
thing.
Buy me some.
100%.
I knew we were going to bring that to the podcast at some point.
For that, I think if you show up and you forgot your gym clothes, and it's a decision of driving back home to drive back to the gym, and you have, I would say I would just work on what I had.
Yeah, I'd rather people laugh at me and I actually go to the gym than
I would
not
laugh.
go to the gym.
Corduroy
Yeah,
shoes are
Fine,
not a
I
thing.
deserve it.
Full point.
They will be one day.
Like corduroy fabric.
I got a verse
On
for
the
you
shoes?
guys on the topic
Let's hear it.
of going. It's kind of related to going to the gym. It's also related to discipline. But this is 1 Corinthians 9:25-27. Everyone who competes in games goes into strict training. They do it to get a crown that will not last, but we do it to get a crown that will last forever. Therefore, I do not run like someone running aimlessly. I do not fight like a boxer beating the air. No, I strike a blow to my body and make it my slave, so that after I preach to others, I myself will not be disqualified for the prize.
I like that. What was the verse?
1 Corinthians 9:25-27. What I get from that is not necessarily don't go to the gym, or it's useless to train the body, but that ultimately we have a higher calling than training the body or trying to win earthly prizes. But what do you guys think?
I like the part when it said, I'm going to say a boxer swinging at the air aimlessly, but you strike a blow. I like that. It's why waste your time swinging at the air when you could strike a blow at something important? And I feel like if we all thought about that more, about the things that we do, like hobbies or just interests or stuff like that, and how we do it, are we actually just swinging at the air aimlessly, or are we actually striking a blow at what's important?
Yeah, it's a good point. I didn't think about it from that angle, but that's good.
Is it kind of just saying put all your focus pretty much into God instead of like do your day-to-day things, but like don't put all your focus into those, like they're meaning everything. Like that's your end goal is to like succeed at what you're doing that day, but like your end goal is actually to be actively worshiping God and putting your focus on him. Is that kind of ish the gist of it, or no?
I think so.
Kind of.
Yeah, I think I think it's basically saying that what our goals are or should be in this life is not to accomplish the prizes that man has for us, you know. So make $1 million, or you know, have a wife, or have a huge house or something like that. Those are goals
Get a
that
gold gun in Call of Duty.
Yeah.
Right up there.
Grinding your camos.
Grinding my camos.
Yeah.
I just got a zombie camo gold, by the way.
Nice.
Good job,
Let's
Wes.
go.
I'm
Thank you.
very proud of you.
Thank you. It was
Is
kind
that
of hard.
rare?
It was kind of hard. I had to do it a lot of things.
What gun was it for?
MTZ.
That's huge.
Massive.
It's pretty big. I have it gold in multiplayer and in zombies. So
Oh, boy.
I had to get 250 kills with 4 active perks on. So
I
I had 3 perks starting out with that game. Sorry, I'm gonna get into this. So I had to run around the whole map to go find one of the other perks. It's called PhD Flopper.
Gotta get
So
that
you
flopper.
dolphin dive, and then there's a little explosion that happens that
Mhm.
kills all the zombies around
Like
it.
an Ascension.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that was the 4th perk I had to get, and then I had to get 250 zombie kills.
There you go.
So I had to work hard towards that to get that
That's a lot of
gold
zombie
gun.
kills.
But I shouldn't care about that.
No,
Be
but I
caring
mean-
about God.
Here's
God's
the thing.
calling,
Here's
man.
the thing, though. It's
But
my
it gives me
question is:
joy.
Did you have fun with it?
I did.
Because the way I see things is like when it comes to hobbies, interests, what we do outside, like with our free time, is
Mhm.
God wants us to experience joy and happiness
Mhm.
in our lifetime. And I know whether that's doing a podcast with your awesome friends who are amazing, or it's
You know, most of them are.
well, everyone except for Brandon.
Most of them. Yeah,
Brandon.
right. With the
Brandon's
little,
kinda
with
just
the
here to
little
be
mic.
here.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. I paid my way to get in here.
Or it could be collecting rocks. It could be
Licking rocks.
licking rocks.
We'll get into that.
Yeah, that one will be a different day.
It's
We'll get into that.
if those things are bringing
It's
us
meaning
joy and
behind it.
happiness, those things aren't
Yes.
bad. It's just when we value those things above God. Are we like thinking or doing those things more than we should, or over the top? Or like what's the thing that you're thinking about 24/7 that's on your mind? I know at times for me, God isn't on my mind 24/7. It's very rarely that God is on my mind 24/7.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And I don't think it's very possible for anyone to have that 24/7. But
Yeah, because I'm a lot of times, like, when I'm at work, like, I just want to go home and play video games. Like, I'm not really thinking about God at that moment, like, whatsoever. Like, that day, I probably never even thought about God once, but I'm just thinking about Call of Duty.
why do you think?
It's stupid.
Why do you
I'm
think
obsessing
on
over it
those
sometimes.
on those
Yeah.
days then? Like, why would you say you're thinking more about other things like video games or whatever it is instead of God?
Why is that?
Yeah, like why would you think that's the case?
Well, I don't have, like, the spiritual discipline that I probably should. And I find that instant gratification of playing the video games. So that's kind of just, like, right there, and God's kind of, I guess obviously he could give you instant gratification too, but Call of Duty is that instant action right then and there, and it's a new Call of Duty game, so
Would you say because it's comfortable?
it's comfortable. Yeah, it's probably harder to talk about God and think about God and do the things that God wants you to do.
I know I agree, because I mean there's times when I open the Bible or you're praying or whatever, and it's things that we don't want to hear or things that we don't want to see because it's challenging and it's uncomfortable.
Mhm.
And I get that, like, going home after a long day of work and laying in bed and watching Netflix is a lot easier sometimes than opening up your Bible and reading or praying or going to volunteer or having that conversation with that person or that friend. So what do you think? Is there something that could help change that mindset of those days at work when you have those other things on your mind?
What could change that? I don't know.
I personally think that we aren't required to pray a certain amount of minutes, hours throughout the
Mhm.
day. I think it's something that we can absolutely do those things. I think as long as we are setting apart time in our day for God, for prayer, for reading the Bible, for doing a devotion, I think it's fine then. But oftentimes we do forget to do that, and we get caught up in only what we want to do
Mhm.
because it's that instant gratification that we forget to devote even a little bit, like even just like a quick, like, thank you God for this day, for allowing me to play these games, and I hope I get some kills, some major kills, and get a golden
More-
MZ, not
MTZ.
a MTZ. There it is.
A BLT,
2.4 kg.
BLT.
BMW.
You were close to another one. ACW.
Ooh, ACW.
That's what I was referring to.
Yeah, nice. I have a verse here.
Okay.
This is one of my go-to verses when I do feel that I'm getting kind of caught up in the world, and I want to make sure that I'm recentering my attention on God. It comes from Colossians 3:23. It says, "And whatsoever ye do, do it heartily as to the Lord and not unto men." That was the King James Version. I just wanted to sound fancy. The NIV
That's
version
fine.
says, "Whatever you do, work at it with all your heart, as working for the Lord, not for human masters." That's one of my favorites that I turn to because it doesn't say do this like in the name of the Lord, do this for the name of the Lord. It says whatever you do, work at it with all of your heart,
Mhm.
as working for the Lord, not for human masters. And that is just so powerful to me because, like, it doesn't have to be serving. It doesn't have to be in a podcast. It doesn't have to be at group. It's whatever you do, you have to do it for the Lord. So killing those zombies, man. Given just whatever, like any little time that we can find to give thanks to the Lord, just for having like working hands or something
Right.
like that, to be able to play those
You
video
couldn't
games.
really
What-
play without hands.
yeah, being
How
able
could
to-
you use video games to serve God?
That's a hard one. I have no idea.
start a stream,
Start a stream.
collect all the money, 10% to the church.
There you go.
I'm just kidding.
Well, like one way I think about it is video games are it's almost like a brain exercise,
Mhm.
and God wants us to be sharp, wants us
Right.
to think well. So if you're using it for that purpose, I think that's positive. But you have to like go into it with that intention.
That mindset.
One thing I want to do is like, now that I have like a new gaming laptop, and I might do a little gaming here and there.
Oh, yeah.
I want to set like a time limit
Mhm.
that like maybe I'm only allowing myself to game for like an hour a day or something
Right.
like that. My previous laptop, I'm not a big gamer obviously because I have I had a really crappy gaming laptop, but the battery only lasted for like an hour, and then
Okay.
it had an issue where I couldn't like plug it in and use it, so I literally had to use like the battery or charge
Or like plug it in or whatever. Mhm.
yeah. So that was like a time limit, but now I've opened Pandora's box because I have a new laptop, so I have to like find a way
A
to
lot of
discipline
time.
myself and like not spend too much time on it,
Mhm.
you know. So I guess that's an example of trying to utilize discipline, but not limit ourselves and say like we can't play
Can't.
video games.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like something I was thinking of is like, like disciplines. Like let's say they're not spiritual. Like disciplines in themselves are hard. It's like eating a certain way for a diet. like that's like really hard to do depending on what it is. And then like once you add spirituality to it, and like I feel like that's just another like step in itself. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think of an example, but I just think it makes it like when we don't follow through with our spiritual disciplines, there's like a certain level of like extra added guilt. At least from my experience of like let's say you're on a roll with that, like let's just it's praying, you know, you're doing a really good job praying.
Yeah.
And then you kind of like wander off and stop for a while. There's the guilt of like not doing the discipline, and then also like it being spiritual with God, because then it's like you're like letting God down, at least in like your mind. I don't know, just
Yeah. So what techniques do you guys have to help yourself stay spiritually disciplined?
friends. Yeah.
Christian
I think,
friends.
yeah, just having all of each other and just being like honest with each other.
I'd say off of that, what you're saying with friends, it's kind of like accountability.
Yeah.
Because if you
That's what-
have,
That's where I was going with that one.
Yeah.
He picked it up. We're on that same connection.
yeah, we are. So if you have a strong community of friends, essentially like your family, and they're going to church on Sunday, you're in a Bible study, volunteering, whatever it looks like. If you start slacking off and not showing up, they're probably going to be asking like, hey, where have you been? We miss you. We want you to get back to it. Keeping you accountable and like encouraging you. Compared to if you were kind of outside of a community, just going to church casually and not having that accountability. And if you stop going, if you stop being in the Word, stop praying, stop meditating, whatever that looks like, you don't really have those people in your life to hold you accountable and bring you back to it. Because I know for me, that's a huge part of my journey, is having friends and family and community bringing me back into it. So
Yeah, accountability is very difficult because you have to be honest, and
Mhm.
we
Sorry?
feel shame
Yeah.
when we fall short of what we said we weren't going to do anymore. The addictions, the temptations, and it's you really got to humble yourself. It's very humbling. I know these guys. I've had to humble myself, and like it's difficult because like you have to keep going. It's not just like one conversation. You're like, all right. It's like
Right.
continuous.
Mm-hmm.
And Luke does a really good job of checking in with the things that.
Oh, thanks.
You're all right, dude. I don't know. It's just Luke. The rest of you guys are just slacking, man.
Go ahead.
I was just saying, no, because I've worked out with Luke a few times, and like just while we're in a
you
workout
really
or
have?
something like that. Do you guys feel left out? I'm sorry.
No, it's fine.
Yes.
You guys are also cool. See, now I lost my train of thought.
Yeah, that's right.
You guys are all really good at holding me accountable.
No,
oh
Luke
no, my
is.
charts are. Just Luke. And so yeah,
Charizard.
that's I lost my train of thought, but you get what I'm saying. You're smelling what I'm stepping in.
Accountability.
Accountability. Yes, that's where I was going with that.
Mhm.
So when someone keeps checking in on you, and you have to continuously humble yourself each time, and maybe you have seasons of life where you're not struggling with that sin as much as you would, and it makes you feel really good. But then there are times when you fall short, and you have to be honest, and you have to tell them, like, I haven't been doing so hot. I need you to pray for me, and I'll continue to pray. And yeah, and that accountability is just another step with spiritual discipline.
I think it's sometimes too, it's just as simple as like a text even, you know, just being like, how's this thing, or how are you doing in this situation?
Yep.
I think it's really just as simple as that, because then it makes you really think about it. You know, it's a good reminder.
Right.
Because if it's a conversation, I feel like you can kind of forget about it in a way. But if it's a text, you can kind of like go back and see it, and it's like,
Yeah.
it's right there.
Yeah.
it's also having that physical presence too.
Mm.
Because I know as Christians, something I struggle with too. I don't know how you guys are about it, but just some days you're struggling with the aspect of our God being not physically here. that we can't physically see him. I know that I believe that, he's here with us, but obviously I can't see him like I can see you guys. And having that friend or that family member, whoever it is, having that conversation or keeping you accountable can help and go a long way too. Because it just makes it brings it down to us being human, where we can actually understand, and that helps me a lot too.
On God.
Brandon, what was your question
No
you asked
cap.
not too long ago?
I just was asking what methods do you have to keep yourself spiritually disciplined? Honestly, another one that I have, accountability is probably my main one, but another one, and I just had this earlier today.
Stop tapping the table.
Is it?
Yeah.
You can hear it?
Yep.
Oopsies.
Yikes.
My bad, bro. I'm gonna take
Learning
more now.
stages.
Um,
First ever pod.
Yes. Another one that I have is literally picturing God like next to me. And I like to picture God as like a really chill guy, like earlier today. So just with school and like it's coming to a close, I've got 3 weeks left of the semester and just like staying strong,
Nice.
even though it's been a struggle. I just literally picture, I was walking, whoa, nice voice crack. I was walking out of
Cut it.
the,
Brandon's
I've-
still going through puberty.
yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah, he's like 12, right? Yeah.
Something.
Almost.
I'm
He's
13 and a
almost.
half. 13 and a half. And I imagined, I was like, oh my goodness, like yeah, nice. I'm like imagining God like with his arm around my shoulder,
Mhm.
like looking at me and like, are you gonna give up on me right now? Like, what do you do? I just imagine him being like a really chill guy, you know? He's like, you're going through a lot right now. That's crazy. Like, what are you gonna do about it? Are you gonna like turn your back on me? Or are you gonna be angry at me? And I just like to picture him as like someone on my shoulder, you know?
That's cool. I picture God as like a light that's like so bright you can't even look at it, like sitting on a throne.
Pretty sure that's what it actually
Yeah.
is. It's not my.
No, but
God.
it's funny how we kind of picture God differently. But when I picture Jesus, who is God? We're Trinitarians over here. But when I picture Jesus, I kind of picture that. Like
Allegedly.
more of a chill person, somebody that
Yeah.
would be able to relate to my humanness.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. On God. I imagine him using lingo that we use too, you know?
Really? Like what?
Yeah. Like bro or like
Do you
something
think
like
God
that.
would really say bro?
No,
Say,
not really.
what up, bro?
But it's just easier to picture him as like a, like a friend.
I like to
Well-
think he has a sense of humor, though, too.
I like to think so.
So he might
He's
say
created some pretty funny people.
I mean, he's created us, and he's created us
Well,
with
you
a
know,
sense of humor.
We're kind of funny.
Slightly funny.
Yeah, I don't
ish.
know.
Well, do you ever
More weird.
imagine what Jesus would be,
Yeah.
just how it would be if he was here as a human in today's world, like today?
Mm.
That'd be kind of crazy.
It would be.
Like if he came back today, or
Well,
No,
let's
he's
just
just
say
saying, like-
instead of being born all those years ago,
oh yeah.
He's born
Like
today.
he
What
was-
would he be like right now?
yeah, just kind of how
What
his
if you could see
personality.
Jesus on YouTube?
That'd be
Pull
wild.
it up,
Yo, yo,
Trilo.
yo, it's your boy.
Yeah, but
Jesus,
imagine like
Jesus to Christ.
you could have all those amazing sermons and messages that he gave
Mhm.
recorded.
You could have some miracles on
wild.
YouTube.
Holy
be
crap.
crazy.
There you
That'd
go.
be so crazy.
He's like streaming, like just doing his work.
Do you think that'd be? Do you think that'd be?
People would just think he's like a magic dude.
It's
Yeah.
a wizard.
This is an interesting
Wizard.
thing to think about. Is this the different time periods of how different that would be?
Yeah. It'd be tough. I'm glad that it was a long time ago where we have it like already written down for us.
Mhm.
Because I feel like it'd be really tough if, like, imagine being on the Sermon on the Mount. I mean, I imagine that
Mount.
That's what I said. Sermon on the Mount.
I think he said mound.
Oh, mound. My bad.
I don't think I've ever thought about that.
It's Mount. Yeah.
Mount.
Sermon on the Mount.
I don't think.
I imagine it
people
was pretty
emphasize-
long. It was
Mount.
probably like maybe
Sure.
over an hour or something. I don't know.
That was
And-
unnecessary. Sorry.
You know, you're good. You're good. You're good.
Go.
I just
I
want
liked
you guys
it.
to make sure you always correct me so that way I don't look like an idiot.
Well,
You can't fix it all though. I get it. I get it.
Right.
But like, that'd be a lot to remember. I mean, he like remakes the laws that they all had. You know, like the one about, well, you've heard that, you know, this is adultery, but I tell you, if you look at a woman lustfully, like, you've already committed adultery. Like, he's rewriting that kind of stuff. So, like, trying to remember that, I feel like we kind of maybe people were taking notes though on like little slabs of rock or something, or like I think they had paper, but
they had really good memories.
Did they?
Yeah,
hopefully.
A lot of the Jewish tradition at the time was to heavily practice memorization of verses and memorizing speeches that people made. So it was something that people practiced from a young age.
There's a spiritual discipline.
Gotcha.
Memorizing verses.
I don't know if this is correct me if I'm wrong. Wouldn't they memorize the entire Old Testament, or was that just?
I'm sure some did.
Yeah. Like word for word. You think word for word?
Because I
imagine
know
memorizing Psalm.
I know I'm gonna mess this up, but there was. I think there were particular. When you were really young, you would, like your school would be learning the Old Testament and like memorizing that as like your schooling. And then the ones that would advance, they'd continue more, and then they end up having a rabbi, was it?
Yeah.
I want to say. If they had the standards that they were looking for. And I think through that process, they would end up memorizing the entire Old Testament. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know if that's
right.
I can't correct you
correct,
if you're wrong.
but I think that's also what Jesus ended up doing as well.
And that's why when Jesus talked to the Pharisees, he would just start talking about a verse in like Isaiah or something like that, and they knew exactly what he was talking about because they knew the Old Testament extremely well, and they didn't have verses like we do where you could reference a certain location. You kind of just had to know the whole Bible, and when somebody started referencing a certain part, people knew where it was.
Wouldn't that be really cool to have a conversation like that with Jesus and just like hear his knowledge and wisdom and just everything? I don't know, that'd just be amazing.
Absolutely. But reading his words is kind of like having a conversation with him.
Yeah, that's why I think it's so important to have Bible verses to turn to. Or just like a devotion. I guess you don't have to memorize them. I think there is a useful aspect of memorizing it so that you can remember that instead of having to like go through a book or something and find it. But yeah, I think just when we go through different seasons of life, finding verses that match what we're going through, and it could just be a verse, it could be a chapter, because I think it's important to go back and like really reference like what we should be referencing. Like all devotions, all those books, great, but we do have to make sure that our main focus is the Bible. And so remembering those verses, I think, is very important. And that's some spiritual discipline I should work on because I don't have a whole lot of verses memorized. I have some written down. But
when you memorize those things too, those things are embedded in you, and like it's gonna run through your mind.
Like Hebrews 4:13.
4:12, yeah.
Oh, dang.
Nice.
Especially when...
Sorry, I didn't realize you were asking me to say the verse.
No, you're good.
Okay.
Like in those difficult times, like when whatever comes up, addictions or just a hard time in your life, like what do we turn to? What do we go to? But when you have those verses in the Word of God memorized within your heart, it's going to naturally come to you, especially in the times that we need it. And that's something that I definitely lack on, and I need to work on too, is memorizing more verses and having things to reference in those difficult times and in the good times too, for praise and worship, but especially in like those lows when we need it the most.
Yeah.
You know what's kind of cool is like another like spiritual discipline is just like doing this too, because this is like more time. Like we have our Thursday night Bible studies, and then we're gonna have, you know, however many times a month we do this. This will be like a little collection of like conversations that we can like look back on, and like we're like, oh, at like this period of time Milo was going through this, and like what are some different things that he can go back to the podcast and listen to like reassure himself of like, oh yeah, Luke said this, and like I can actually like apply this. So it's kind of cool that like,
And it'll show growth too.
yeah,
Because we'll be
for sure.
looking back at this season of our life, and there'll be the struggles that we went through now.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be like, oh, nice, those passed, or maybe they're still around, but
So if nobody listens to the podcast, we can listen to it.
That is the plan.
whoa, wild.
That is the plan.
Yeah, for all those people listening out there, what do you guys want from the gas station?
True. True.
So,
I'll go with
a
Alani.
rain.
Yeah.
A resign.
There's a really good section in Proverbs that I think really applies to the idea of memorizing verses, but it's Proverbs 3. My son, do not forget my teaching, but keep my commands in your heart, for they will prolong your life many years and bring you peace and prosperity. Let love and faithfulness never leave you. Bind them around your neck. Write them on the tablet of your heart. Then you will win favor and a good name in the sight of God and man. Then trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding.
Ooh, classic.
Yep.
That's right before that verse?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I didn't know that was in Hebrews.
Yeah. Oh, no, Proverbs 3.
Oh, that's why. I was like,
I
okay.
liked how it said, and bind them around your neck. It reminded me of Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings.
And
Mhm.
that's a helpful little hint
There you
for
go.
memorization.
The
right there.
mnemonic device, or whatever you call that.
Yeah.
Bring them all.
Please leave.
So,
Okay.
Me?
what kind of disciplines do you guys want to implement into your lives that you aren't currently implementing right now?
Like I said, just memorizing Bible verses. The one Bible verse on bringing me to green pastures,
Mhm.
even though I walk through the darkest valley.
Yeah.
I want to. I
Yeah.
feel like that was just like a cool
Yep.
Bible verse, in my
Mhm.
opinion. So I do want to learn that like word for word.
Yeah. My mom made us memorize
You have that
that
memorized?
one. Yeah, when I was a kid.
Yeah, that one's sick.
Yeah.
That
I
one's
think
sick.
like going out and actually buying myself a Bible. That's like something I wanted to do for a while because it's like I don't know what happened to my Bible. And like,
Do you want to buy mine? Because
No.
mine's like very, very thin. It's like an inch thin, and the paper is so thin.
Oh, I don't like that.
Don't
That's
do
scary.
it. He's gonna buy more Pokemon cards.
that's true, right?
No, dude, Bibles are low key expensive. There was one that was like really nice, fine leather. It was $100. So
Yeah, I probably won't. I don't know.
You don't
I'm
think
not
so?
going to get into details about buying a Bible, but I need to buy a Bible,
Yeah.
one,
Yeah.
so that I like actually get into the Word, because it's like I said before, like using your phone, it's like it's not really the same. So I think just getting more into the Word and kind of like using my devotional. So like using my devotional to get into the Word, I think is where I need to be at, because I feel like praying will just kind of come along with it. So I think for this month at least, that's going to be my plan.
Okay.
I'm gonna hold you accountable to that, Joey.
Wow, that's huge. As
Brandon,
you should.
And I also want you to buy my Bible.
One thing too, I want to do this as well, but for memorization, and I've seen it before too, just like writing out verses throughout your house or at work or in your car, in your
For
carrier.
sure. Okay.
That's something I'm gonna try doing too, just so you're visually seeing that every single day and just getting that memorized in your head.
Mm-hmm.
But I think one discipline that I want to work on, like I said at the beginning, is just in solitude, just silence and listening to God. I think it's, as we all know in today's society and world, it's a loud, busy life that we live. And just those moments we have of actually sitting and listening is a good skill and discipline to have and learn. But I know, like I said, I connect through journaling, but I feel like my mind is still racing. And that's good to have that at time, but I also need to learn how to just sit and be still and hear what God's trying to tell me. And I think that'll flow into other disciplines and my relationship with God as well. So that's something I definitely want to do. And memorizing verses as well would be a good one. So
Yeah, I think definitely when I get home from work and stuff, like, or just any day to day, because I have my Bible on my nightstand, and I haven't really picked it up for a really long time, so I just need to have like that discipline of not going on YouTube or Netflix or whatever, not playing video games, and just like sit there and like get into the Bible, like actually like read it, look at the verses, and actually like think about the verses and stuff, and like actually like pray, and like just not do worldly things and actually concentrate on God. So
For sure. I have maybe a small suggestion. Don't necessarily cut out video games. I don't know.
Mhm. Well,
I don't
yeah,
want to
not
give
cut
you
it
I don't
out.
want to give you bad advice, but personally it might not be realistic to like totally cut those things out, you know? But maybe just like cut down the time that you spend on it. One thing for me is if I kind of almost have to maybe do a Bible study or something like that after I do something fun, because I don't want it like in my mind if I'm reading the Bible like, all right, I gotta speed through this so that I can go play video games or something like
Right.
that, you know. So I don't know, just maybe consider like saying, all right, I'm gonna play COD for like a couple hours or something like that, and then after I'm gonna do a Bible study or like, you know,
And
pray and meditate.
right.
with that comes steps too. It's not with anything, with disciplines within our faith or hobbies, interests. It's anything that you start off or just doing in general. We never want to, as humans, it's difficult to jump into things really fast. Like, I'll take the gym example. Again, if you are, let's say you're doing cardio. If you haven't ran for a while and you try running for 3 miles at a high speed,
Right.
whatever it is, you're gonna kill yourself. You're just gonna be dead. It's gonna be super difficult to do. Or you jump into lifting some heavy weight that maybe you did a couple months ago and you haven't gone for a while. It's like it's not really gonna work out the way you're looking at. So it's taking those small steps to get back to it. And if it's implementing being in the Word or praying, it's like we don't have to be doing that 24/7 each and every day. It's like it's saying it step by step. Like, for example, let's say you're at church on Sunday or whenever that is, or you're watching the sermon. It's like you set aside time for that particular day and you get in a rhythm of doing that each and every week. And it's like, let's say, okay, you find time where you can start being in the Word on these days for like this amount of time. If you can get into that and you can work up to it, because it's going to be really hard for anyone just to go all in and just overdo it, because we're human and that's going to be hard to do as well. So just kind of take it step by step by setting aside time here and there and building up to that as well.
Yeah.
100%. I think for me, I would just really have not been like sitting down and actually reading the Bible enough and making a concerted effort to actually pray and meditate and spend time with God. Just kind of been avoiding that, and I think there's a lot of weird stuff. I think there's fear and there's sins and stuff that block me from that, but yeah, I guess I would just ask that you guys pray for me, and I'm going to try to, I think one realistic goal is for me to just try to get up earlier and spend some time in the Word in the morning. I think the best times in my life spiritually were when I got up a little earlier, and right away the first thing I did was pull up Proverbs, read like a few verses or read a chapter. You know, Proverbs is like 30 or 31 verses, or 30 chapters, I think. So you can read it, the whole book, in like a month if you read one chapter a day. So that would be, I think, a really good practice for me to implement. Yeah.
That's good. A chapter a day is not too hard. Because like, if I think about like reading Lord of the Rings, like that doesn't take too much time.
Yeah.
You know, a chapter.
Right.
So I think that's a good idea.
We got like the Proverbs book from Ends Retreat. I think it's a 30-day.
Oh, yeah.
Probably a chapter a day.
I got a really good deal on a stationary bike. 'Cause I've really been liking the stationary bike.
stationary?
A stationary bike.
So,
Brandon and Milo are Filipino.
Yeah.
yeah, that's why they disrespect
We're
us.
half
They
Filipino.
point with their lips.
What's stuck? So
He's pointing at his lips.
But
yeah, go ahead.
I would, like one thing I want to do is do some cardio, like maybe half an hour of cardio in the morning. I think that would be a good time to like listen to the audio Bible or watch a sermon or something like that.
You're able
Just-
to multitask like that?
Yeah.
I can't do that.
Really?
Yeah. I
Really?
can't.
I'm really bad about it because
Well, it depends on what it is.
everything I do, like if I'm at the gym, you know, if I'm driving.
Yeah, I can't do it at the gym.
Like if I'm doing some work that's like repetitive, I can like listen to a podcast or listen to an audiobook or something. But it's a little addicting because then I get into the mindset like I have to be listening to an audiobook while I'm doing something else, you know.
Milo gets laser focused.
Yeah.
Like the time when I was on my way to the gym and I rolled up at a stop sign or a stoplight and I looked to my left and I see Milo in his car just I'm trying to wave and get his attention. I roll down the window and Milo's just he's just laser focused. I just see a cloud from his vape just going out in the car.
Oh my god!
I was listening to the Hardcore History podcast on Japan and the war in the Pacific, and it was really intense.
And then I get to
awesome.
the gym. I was expecting to see you like a couple minutes or like right away after, and then like 15 minutes later, 10 minutes later, you walk, and I was like, Milo, where were you at?
Yeah.
And you're just like, I had to finish this podcast.
Yeah, I was
so
driving around.
I was just driving around.
Yeah.
Just hanging around.
Just hanging around. That's hilarious.
I
Yeah.
think it's a good thing to implement. And if you can do it, then
Yeah.
you got it.
No, I think anybody can do that. Listen to it. I think try it sometime. Try listening to the audio Bible or something like that while you're working out. Just see if you can do it.
I don't actually have headphones right now.
Oh,
Yeah, I
I'll get you
lost
some
one
headphones.
AirPod, and you can't just buy one AirPod, which don't even get me started. Apple is terrible for that. Like, you can't just buy one AirPod.
You could probably find one on eBay, right?
wait, don't you have an Android phone?
Yeah. What? Wait.
It
hold
was
on
it was a
second.
Christmas gift though.
Let's
Oh,
all make
okay,
fun of
okay.
the Android user. Wait, these two, right?
Yeah, what's up?
Those-
And this one.
Yeah.
Oh boy, Luke,
It's
you
just
and
you
I.
and me.
That's the way to
You and
go.
I, buddy.
Outnumbered. We are legion.
I do want to say I'm super excited to see where this podcast goes.
Yeah.
Just because we're all just average guys that have
Average Joe, haha, that's so funny.
Wait, I don't get it.
No, it's not.
Oh, because your name's Joey. I see.
I have a knife near me.
Oh, you do.
it because we all have very similar but different interests as well, and none of us are scholars or teachers or pastors or anything like that. We're average guys all on a journey of faith together, and I think it's gonna be really cool by having this podcast just to see where we start from and where we can hopefully continue to grow and get farther along. I'm super excited by having this and be able to do that as well, and be able to like look back on these podcast episodes and just kind of see that growth that hopefully will be developed throughout this process. So
Yeah.
Schlitz.
thank you for being on this journey with me.
Campfire Council.
Yes, this is the Campfire.
Campfire
Council.
Campfire Council.
Like and
Council.
subscribe.